Welcome to Game Gab, where we gab about games. I'm Keith Adler, to play games. Sam's running the board. Tonight's our last episode of the Rodeo installment of Game Gab. We've been messing around with rodeo games for the last 5 weeks. People have been submitting ideas. We've been printing them out and playing them and rehashing them and tweaking them and then talking about them some more, playing them some more. And tonight we're going to wrap the process up with some discussion about the process, about the different games, really whatever you'd like to discuss with us. That's why we call it Game Gab and not Game Text, because you can actually get on the line with us. It's not exactly a phone call. You use your computer to join the Discord server, and then we, using ultimate high technology means, we put you on the air with us, and we actually physically talk, voice to voice. So here's what you got to do if you want to talk. If you want to get on the show and discuss what you thought about the process, what you thought about the games, what you'd like to talk about next installment of Game Gab, what your maybe some ideas you had, whatever you'd like to talk about. We are here to gab, and here's how you do it. You go to the Discord server. There's a link below the here on the YouTube screen. Click the link, go to the Discord server, go into the a topics room, and post whatever topic you'd like to talk about. Just we'll be able to tell who you are through the Discord technology. You'll go in there and talk about, post a message, a brief message about what you want to talk about. Then you leave that room. We go to get you into the mic check room. Check your microphone on your computer, make sure we can hear you, and then you'll go on the air and we'll talk amongst ourselves. So that's how it works. If you have any questions about it, I guess you can either post in the chat or just kind of watch what everybody else is doing. So, as I said, invitation for you to share your thoughts. We posted our final rodeo game download package earlier this afternoon. It included a couple of new games from Rob Gallimore, who's been quite prolific in this segment. He's put together a suite of 5 different rodeo games, and so those games are at the head of the download package. We also included the games that were developed along the way by other people. James Cast put together an awesome bull riding game, as did Pete Adams. Both of those games are included. Rob helped Pete. Actually, we call it Pete's bull riding game. It actually was Rob's bull riding game, but Pete kind of jumped in and added some of his own ideas. Mark Dykeshorn also jumped in and provided some card design. So it's kind of a collaborative effort there, really. What we're calling Pete's bull riding game is actually a group effort. But that is in there, along with a brand new board that Mark designed, which picked up on some of the hints that I had on last week's show. Then we have Elon Olaf's steer wrestling game, and then the two game ideas that I submitted, the calf roping game idea and the chuck wagon game idea. All those are included. It's about a 60-page document, and you can download it right now with the link that we've provided. Actually, interested in hearing what your thoughts about the process were. What takeaways did you get from 6 weeks of rodeo talk? And what would you like to gab about next? My thoughts, a lot of great ideas. I was very impressed with the ideas and the thought process that everybody came up with. Bull riding especially, there were some really great different bull riding ideas. As I mentioned, I had kind of the inspiration for this topic was a suite of bull riding games or rodeo games that I'd put together when my kids were small. We were living in Dallas, and I was working for a radio station, a country radio station in Dallas, and used to get free tickets to the Mesquite Rodeo. Pretty much monthly, would host an event for the station. Sometimes we just go just for the fun of it because we had the tickets. And we always enjoyed going, and as a result, we put together kind of little game suite of our own with all the different events that we saw at the Mesquite Rodeo and played it in our living room, just me and the kids. And somewhere along the way, several computers ago, we lost the files for that. And since it was like 20 years ago, I'm also, not exactly remembering what exactly were those games. But I do know that the bull riding game that I came up with was very different than these bull riding game ideas. My idea was something along the lines of like a deck of cards with a number on there, and you had to guess what the next number was going to be, high or low. You had to guess whether it would have a number on it, and you'd have to guess whether the next number was going to be higher or lower than that to kind of simulate the feeling of which direction is the bull going to go. So that was my rodeo game, my bull riding game idea. But I think the game ideas that Jim and Pete and Rob came up with were far better than mine. So yeah, a lot of great ideas. I think the key takeaway for me from all this was, the whole concept of game design versus sim design. They're really two completely different animals, and I feel like much of what we did on this 4-week journey, 5-week journey was, simulation based. It almost, it's kind of almost a struggle between, are we going to make this a game? We're going to make this a sim. And I think it's, it's a legitimate question. It certainly is a question you got to ask before you go into something, as you're beginning the game design process. What exactly am I going to try to accomplish here? And, a simulation is very different from a game. They have completely different goals and desired results. In a simulation, you're mainly going to try to recreate something in a realistic fashion. From a sports sim standpoint, we always talk in terms of recreating statistics to be statistically accurate, and so it makes sense that from the sports game crowd we would apply that to rodeo, where we'd want to have the top bull riders in real life be the top bull riders in our rodeo game. But that's the sim side, and when you're developing a sim, the point becomes making it smooth, play smoothly, easy to look up, character traits or ratings which capture the varying shades of gray of ability among the different participants. With the whole idea of recreating faithfully an actual rodeo event. Of course, for a game, it's completely different. The main point of a game is fun. Now, we like to say that the point of a sim is also fun. We want to, when you see people describing their experience with a tabletop simulation, usually they will use the word fun. They'll throw the word fun out there, but I think we have to recognize it's a different kind of fun. The fun that you get from a statistical simulation is in how vividly it recreates the action and in your mind and your imagination. How well does it engage you? How well does it tell the story of what's going on, and how faithful is it to real life? And that is what's fun. For a lot of people, in the sports sim hobby, the fun really doesn't begin until you start adding up the stats. That's where it's really fun, is when you can compare the stats that were generated in your tabletop experience to those that were generated, in real life. And to many people, that is what is considered fun. That's fun for them in the, statistical simulation genre. And that certainly is legitimate. Of course, if that's what you're aiming for, then that's going to have a real impact on the kind of ideas you bring into your game. On the game side, of course, the main idea is fun. It's a common goal. Everybody wants to have fun. That's why we play games, right? So fun, of course, is a key component. But fun is generated in a different way when you're playing a game. A lot of what's fun in a game is interesting choices. Should I do this or should I do this? And you're mulling over your choice. If I do this, then this might happen or this might happen. If I do take option B, then I've got a different set of alternatives, some more likely than others. Which do I want to do? And more than that is what am I going to do after that? You're sort of thinking 1 or 2 or 3 moves down the road, and that's what makes for a good game. So when we're designing a rodeo game, I think the question of is it going to be a sim or is it going to be a game is really a legitimate question to ask. And I think we had some great game ideas and we had some good sim ideas. When I'm designing a sports game, I feel like I try to find that middle ground. I try to design in enough game so that the game people will have fun with cool choices, interesting decision making, but also enough stats so that the stat people will be happy too. Try to find that middle ground so that everybody's happy. It might not be the most fun game for the game people. It might not be the most statistically accurate for the stat people, but it's right down the middle. Everybody has a good time, and it's kind of along the lines of really. It kind of goes back to my radio days. I used to work in top 40 radio for many, many, many years. And the general programming philosophy of a top 40 radio station is that you don't need to be anybody's favorite radio station. You just want to be everybody's second favorite radio station. If you can be everybody's second favorite station, then you're going to be number one in the market, and you'll be a top rated radio station. And it worked at many stations that I worked at. And I think it's a valid philosophy for game design as well. If you can find that if you can be everybody's second favorite game, you're gonna do really, really well. So sim versus game, I think, was one of the key takeaways that I got from it. Let's see. We got anybody in the waiting room? Nobody's gonna talk. Nobody wants to talk tonight. All right. Well, it might be a short show then. Things I learned about Rodeo. This was actually pretty educational for me in terms of learning about the rodeo through game design. And I guess that really is always the case. I always learn a lot about whatever it is I'm working on for a game, just through the research. To me, that's really an interesting process. So some of the things I learned about the rodeo, thanks to Elon, I learned that there's a set order of events. That every rodeo starts with, I believe it's bull riding. There's a certain order of like 7 events that every rodeo has, and they always go in that order. I never realized that. I don't think that was the case at the Mesquite Rodeo, but I could be, I might not have been paying that much attention to it. I also learned that clowns serve 2 different functions in a rodeo. You got the clowns that protect the riders, or the participants, the cowboys. They're actually in the arena trying to distract the bull. And then there are the clowns that try to rev up the crowd and kind of entertain the crowd in between the acts and so forth. 2 completely different functions of the rodeo clown. I always thought it was the same group of clowns, but apparently it's different clowns for different functions, which is interesting. And I think kudos for the group for determining that the clowns are an important part of a rodeo and they need to be factored in to the game somehow, especially for a sim type of game development. There really needs to be a place for the rodeo clowns. I also learned that chuck wagon races are not an official rodeo event. I always thought they were, but I guess they're not. It's sort of a icing on the cake type thing, sort of an entertainment feature, sort of, I guess, like the tire races between innings in a baseball game that they show on the Jumbotron. It's not an official rodeo event as far as I can tell, but it is interesting and fun, and I'm glad we got a couple of chuck wagon race versions in our game package. Also, cowboy poker. Nobody came up with a cowboy poker game. That was like my favorite part of the Mesquite Rodeo. They set those cowboys down in the middle of the arena. They get out an ornery old bull and look out. So those 2 events are not actually part of an official rodeo, so I guess they're not necessarily going to be part of a rodeo game. Also learned that there's such a thing as a hazer. So I'm still not exactly sure what a hazer is, but it's somebody that helps out with the steer wrestling. So those are some of the things that I learned about the rodeo through this design process. Nobody in the waiting room?
No, I don't think we're going to have anybody tonight.
Well, I guess we're not going to have any discussion this evening. Well, that's fine. It was really an interesting project. Really had a good time with it. At some point, we talked about maybe doing a rodeo, like a suite of rodeo games for Play Now. Just based on some of the information we picked up here, was really a good experience. Again, the URL for the final download is posted here if you'd like to try some of these games. And of course, you can still provide feedback for us as well by emailing us at info@play.com. If you have an idea for the next Game Gab, you can let us know via email as well. We're talking about one of the things that I thought we might do is just like a question of the night, where we would say something like, we'd post it, of course, like a day or two earlier, but it would be something like, what's the most unusual game in your collection and why? Or what game do you have in your collection? What game have you had in your collection the longest that you have not yet played? We've all got pretty, I think, healthy game collections, and I think there'd be some interesting contributions there. So that may be the direction we go for our next Game Gab segment, or we may try, a specific pointed discussion about a particular sports or other game. So let us know if you have any, ideas or thoughts on that. The email address is info@play.com. Thursday nights, we'll go back to our regular play space. We will have, I'm going to make a special announcement this Thursday night, the courses that will be included in Course Collection 15. We've got those courses identified, and we'll actually be able to show you some of the, it looks like James is on there. He says he's happy to chat about his experience.
Okay.
Well, let's put...
Hop in the waiting room and all.
All right, good.
All right. I'm
Just-
sure if Mike's fine. I'll just drag him in here.
I was just about ready to sign off the show, but I'm glad we got James in here. Hello, James. Good. You're calling from your car or something, sounds like. How are you able to watch this show from your car? Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. So, what were your thoughts? Give us your thoughts. I really thought you did a good job on the bull riding game, and give us your thoughts on the whole process. Mm-hmm. Right, that was Rob's game, and it was a fast action card type thing. It was interesting because what was interesting. One of the many things that was interesting about it was that you know the turns were stipulated on the cards, and so you could have like a 12 card race or a 4 card race. You could have a race with a lot of action or a race with little action, and when from the game side of it, using your strategy cards or your decision making, not knowing how long you've got left really plays into. Yeah, I think I better make my move right now. Or not. Maybe I got a little more time. So I definitely think that was. I agree with you. That was a nice effort from Rob. So what was the hardest part about this? Oh, did we lose James? I hope we didn't lose him. We might have lost him.
Okay, so nobody could hear anything that he was saying there. I was on the outro thing because we were wrapping it up, which doesn't have the audio, the desktop audio.
Oh, so nobody heard anything he said.
He said it was an issue on his end, but it was an issue on our end. But anyway, it's fixed now. If he wants to come back on, I don't know. We'll hang out for a minute.
Okay, we'll hang out for a minute if he's able to get back on. Sorry about that. Yeah. So let me just paraphrase what James said. He said he didn't know a lot about rodeo going in, and that was a real challenge for him. First of all, learning about rodeo, and then creating the game. He felt like he was pretty comfortable with what he came up with. Some good ideas. He felt like what was lacking was the strategy element of it. But again, for a simulation, strategy elements are not really. They're like added bonus. If you got a simulation game, adding the strategy elements, aside from whatever strategy the sport might actually have, like for baseball, if you got to have the bunt option or a base stealing option. Those are just givens. You just don't have a baseball game without those. But in terms of strategy, for a simulation game, strategy is not necessarily a key thing. If your main goal is for the game to unfold on your tabletop and you just kind of sit back as a passive observer and watch it, in that case, strategy decisions become kind of like a millstone. You don't want strategy decisions in a pure simulation game. You'd rather that the game just make all those decisions for you. So I don't think that it's probably fair for James to feel critical about the lack of strategy. That would be like an add-on thing that would come later in the process anyway. So that's basically what James said. That he wasn't able to. He was calling from his car, so that's probably had something to do with it. Okay. So, anyone else? I see Mark says no one could hear you for whatever reason. Thanks, Mark. Okay, well, So we're gonna put the Game Gab on hold. We're gonna put our Tuesday night streams on hold until after our virtual convention, which of course is coming up August 8th and 9th, less than 4 weeks away. So we're getting pretty involved with the finer details of that. We'll talk about that on a Thursday night's show. Give you a little update on what's going on with the Play Not Con. And we'll also announce the 4 courses for Course Collection 15. Back to Play Not Con, the part of the announcement that we'll talk about next week. We're going to be sending out a email for the Platinum Club members. That's going to happen tomorrow. Now, this is the second one we've sent out, and we send them out through vertical response. I don't send them from my personal email account or the company email account. They're sent via vertical response because I can send a bunch of emails all at once rather than sending out individual emails. It's a lot less time consuming. However, for whatever reason, some email servers view vertical response emails the URL. No, it's the IP. The IP, in some servers is listed as a spam IP, which is, understandable given that vertical response is a service that provides newsletters for, many, many hundreds of different companies. So some servers don't like to let those emails go through. All that to say, we sent out, I believe, 76 Platinum updates last time, our first Platinum update, and only 66 of them actually got opened. So 3 of them I noticed bounced, and I've already reached out to those people. But my point being, we're going to send out this email to the Platinum Club members tomorrow. If you don't get it, reach out to us, and we'll make sure you get the link so you can get the information that we're going to be passing along. It's kind of an important email. We're going to be asking people whether they're going to be participating in the Fury Hardball and the second season football, and a couple of other questions. We're going to do the raffle ticket thing. You'll assign your raffle tickets to the prizes that you want. So it is kind of an important email. Make sure you get that if you're part of the Platinum member group. If you don't get it tomorrow, reach out to us and we'll make sure you get it. We'll get the link. Okay, that is tonight's show. Appreciate you joining us for Game Gab. I thought it was fun. I learned a lot myself, and it was great talking to people. And we'll plan on bringing this back with a different topic and a different theme after the Play Not Con virtual convention. So until Thursday night in the Play Space, have a great couple of nights. Enjoy your day. Stay safe. Stay well. And we'll see you again soon here on the YouTube channel. Good night, everybody.